This is Modern Photo Solutions, helping you find modern solutions for life's photographic journey. Taking you from photo overwhelm to photo fabulous in just a few taps. Your story matters. It's time to start telling it. Hey everyone, welcome to Modern Photo Solutions. I'm Steph Clay and I am so happy to be here. I had a little bit of a forced time off because of sickies in the family, so it is really good to be back with you again. I get a lot of questions about different topics and I decided today that I would discuss two of them with you, two of the more geeky topics that I'm asked about. The first one is all about my system for backing up, what I use not only for my phone, but for everything else as well. I want to give you a little bit of history around why I do what I do, because I know that I am somewhat unique in my approach. I started podcasting in 2009, and my producer at the time, whose name is Izzy Hyman, introduced me to a book called The DAM book. DAM stands for Digital Asset Management, DAM. And one of the principles that is taught in that book is that all of your data should be stored in at least 3 different places, and at least one of those places should be in a different physical location than the other 2. And this is something that I adopted from that point going forward. I had kind of been doing that. I didn't have an offsite location though. Yes, I did on a lot of my stuff. You'll hear about it here. But having those backups saved me a lot of heartache. I started using Mozy.com when it was launched in 2005. And they are still around and they are a really great backup, an online backup to back up your computer and lots of other data. And they are still a leader in online backup. I had all of my data backed up to them and some of my external hard drives, all of my data that was on my external hard drives backed up to them as well. I had to restore with them a few times and it was really quite easy. Back then, my options were to have them send me DVDs, or for an extra fee, they would actually send me an external hard drive, which was an exact copy of my external hard drives that they had backed up. I always say that you can't completely judge an online backup system or company until you do a restore with them, because sometimes it's not that easy. It can be a hassle and a headache, which I have been through that before as well. So after I had used them for a few years, they increased their rates significantly and I jumped ship because I simply could not afford them. And I moved to CrashPlan. For a little bit of time, I wasn't using anything, but it always had me nervous. And so I started using CrashPlan, and I was fairly happy with them. But I started to realize a pattern, and every time I would get my computer backed up on Mozy or on CrashPlan, on any of these sites that I had tried, my hard drives would fail within a few months. I would have either an external hard drive or an internal hard drive on my computer fail within just a month, sometimes just weeks of getting all of my stuff backed up. And so I stopped paying for the service because I saw this pattern and it really concerned me. And I started seeing it with other people that were using these online backup systems. And so I couldn't recommend them anymore to people either, because I was concerned that people were going to start losing hard drives and that it was going to be because I recommended these services. So I stopped using those online services and I kept all of my data on my computer and on 2, sometimes 3 external hard drives, because as one got a little bit older, I would replace it with another one and start working on backing all of my data up, because it took a long time to do that. On more than one occasion, I lost multiple backups within weeks of each other. It was so stressful and I hated it. My friend Katie, who has been on the podcast before, started putting all of her photos and graphics and files and everything into Dropbox, because her reasoning, which was so smart, was we have all of this cloud storage that we're paying for. Why are we still carrying around these external hard drives? And so she installed Dropbox on her computer. She had been a Dropbox user for a long time, just like me. And she installed it on her computer, and it automatically adds a folder to your folder structure on a Mac or a PC when you install it on your computer. And she would save everything to the Dropbox folder and then let it upload through syncing. And then she would unsync the photos folder or the other folders that she had backed up online so that it wasn't taking space on her machine anymore. And then as she needed things, she would download them. And I'm not sure if she downloaded them through the web browser or resynced or what she did. I think she downloaded through the web browser, just depending on how much stuff she needed. So I decided that was a pretty good idea, and I started using Dropbox like I would my documents folder on a Mac or on a PC. I saved absolutely everything to that folder on my internal drive, to the Dropbox folder on my internal drive. I started working on getting all of my photos moved to Dropbox as well. I still had photos on older documents on external hard drives, and I knew I needed my photos to be secure first. So that's when I started moving to Dropbox first. And at that time, they were on one internal drive and on an older PC and on 2 external hard drives. And again, within weeks of each other, these 2 external hard drives started to fail. So I was able to get almost all of my photos off of them before complete failure. But at that point, I was done with hard drives of any kind. They will fail. And I knew this. And when they do fail, all of that time that you put into getting that data onto those drives is gone with it. It's not just the data that's gone, but it's also the time. And that to me is as bad as as bad as the data is. Photos definitely would be worse than the time, but they're irreplaceable. Photos and time, totally irreplaceable. I know that there are programs that will do this for us, but we still have to go through and make sure that everything's there and double check it. And it's still stressful while you're making sure that the backup is getting done. And it was super time consuming. Saving to CrashPlan and Mozy were difficult and time consuming. I can't even tell you the amount of hours I spent on the phone with customer support because it had timed out or it wasn't working correctly or I had had an issue with different things. And their customer support was amazing. They were really great, but that's time that I can't get back. About a year ago, just a few months before my final external hard drives failed, my internal drive on my Mac failed. But because I had been using Dropbox as my main folder, I didn't lose any data from that failure because everything that I had saved to my computer was in Dropbox. I did lose some data, however, that was on those external hard drives that failed. Fast forward to now, and here's what I do. I still use Dropbox as my main folder on my Mac. If I'm online, I can access everything in that folder just fine on my computer. So my first place my data is stored is on my own computer in the Dropbox folder on my internal hard drive. Then everything is synced to the Dropbox cloud. That is my second place, and that is also my offsite location for all of that data. After I lost my last external hard drives, I never did anything to find a third location for all of those documents and things like that. I have been a Dropbox user. Man, I'm having a hard time talking today. I'm rusty. I have been a Dropbox user from the beginning, and I trust them with my data. They're really good at that. It's what they specialize in, and I trust them. I don't think I need to worry about my stuff going away that's in their system. And I think that if it were to go away, we'd most likely get a warning unless there was major problems with their servers. But I know that they have all of that data backed up as well. My photos, however, are a different story. My photos I do want backed up in an additional location. And so I installed the Google Photos desktop uploader after I had tried it out on my phone for a while with all of those photos. I installed the Google Photos desktop uploader, and I uploaded all of my photos, all of my digital photos, to Google Photos as well. I was easily able to have it grab the images that were in my folders inside of Dropbox. On my phone, as you all know, I'm sure, I have Google Photos. I actually turned off the Dropbox syncing feature because Dropbox isn't as intelligent with the save space feature on iOS, and I was constantly getting duplicate photos in Dropbox. I also run Flickr and Amazon Prime Photos at least once a month, sometimes more often, to back up photos to those locations as well. The downfall with those is that they're not automatic, and I do have to open the app to trigger that backup. I do also pay for iCloud storage, but iCloud is not a true backup. iCloud storage is more for a disaster recovery if something bad happens to my phone. Google Photos is the same for Android. So if I delete anything off of my phone, it's deleted from iCloud. However, if I delete things from my phone, it's not deleted from Google Photos, and it's not deleted from Dropbox or any of the other backup locations. In the Heart of Photo Fabulous class, I go over all of the features of each of the mobile backup solutions and help you pick which ones are the best for you and help you figure out which mobile backup solutions you need to have in place for you. And I help you get those set up as well. If you want to be added to the waitlist for that class, you can text the phrase, all together, one word, my heart, to 44222 to be added to that waitlist. So really, Google Photos is now my primary photo backup. I love it. If you haven't gone through the free course for Google Photos, then you will want to text the phrase, all together, one word, PhotoFab, to 44222 and get a link for that class so that you can get going on that. When you get Google Photos set up, you really have to start thinking about photos in a different way when you want to find them. We are so in the habit of looking for things chronologically because most of us, that is how we store our photos. We store them by year, and then some people break them up into months. I do not. I just have them. Oh, actually, I do. I have them broken up actually into folders by year and month. So I don't have folders inside of folders. It's just all folders numbered by chronologically by year and month. And so most of us, when we're looking for a photo, we know about the time that it was taken, and we will go into our folders and start searching for that photo based on when we think it was taken. With Google Photos, you really have to change your mindset and think about what is in the photo and then search based on what is in the photo. And we usually know what's in the photo. If we know what photo we're looking for, then we know what's in the photo and we can search on it. I have 12 years of digital photos and in Google Photos now, and that's a lot. I don't always remember the year that the photo was taken anymore because I have 12 years in there. So I don't always remember the exact year. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And so finding photos chronologically for me takes a long time. This morning, I was talking to my daughter about a place that she is getting ready to go to visit on a field trip. And I told her that she had actually been to that place before, and she was surprised to hear that. And she did not believe me because she didn't remember it at all. We had been there once when we were vacationing to Arizona, which we did quite often before moving here. So I went into Google Photos and I typed her name plus the letters AZ, and it pulled all of the photos up of her that have been taken in Arizona. And that photo that I was looking for was in 2008, and they were photos that were taken, I think it was 2008. They were photos that were taken on my DSLR, and Google Photos was able to find it instantly. And she was a baby then. She was only 2. And, that's how amazing Google Photos is it can just find pretty much anything. Before Google Photos, I would have had to get into my folders and searched each year until I found it, just like most of us do when we're looking for photos. I know a lot of people have a hard time letting go of the folders. It's just so hard. But really, with Google Photos, you don't need them. You don't. The way iCloud and Amazon Prime Photos are all following suit with this technology, just like Google Photos has been doing, I really think that this is the way things are headed. And dare I say that chronological folders for our photos will become obsolete in the not too distant future. Do I dare say that? Yes, I absolutely do dare say that because they've become obsolete for me already. My friend Katie, who I talked about it just a minute ago and who's been on the podcast before, is the biggest user and fan of folder organization that I know. I have the biggest fan that I've ever known. She is huge. She's written tons of articles and posts on her blog and other blogs and websites all about how to streamline your folder organization on your computer. She is really good at it. She could find anything in her folders, lickety split, and everything was organized super well. But guess what? Even she has abandoned her folders thanks to Google Photos. When she told me that, I was shocked. And I think she actually mentioned it on the podcast episode that she recorded with me a couple of months ago. And I seriously was shocked. I could not believe that there would be anything that would make Katie abandon her photos. But she says that she simply can find things faster in Google Photos than she can her folder system. So there you go. If it can make Katie abandon folders, I think anyone can let go of their folders once they start using Google Photos. Many of you have shared your amazing Google Photos stories through social media. I would love to hear them. I would love to have you share them in the comments for the podcast as well. So this episode can be found at modernphotosolutions.com/geek. I would love to have you come share your Google Photos success stories there as well. The other question that I get asked a lot about is scanning. I've done a bit of scanning, but I for sure have more that I need to do. And some of the methods that I have used for scanning is the Scannable app and Scan My Photos. And then Jennifer in the Finishers, in the Google Photos Finishers Facebook group that is exclusive for people that have finished the Google Photos free course to 100%. Jennifer really likes the Epson Fast Photo Scanner. She says it's not cheap, but it works really well and it is super fast. I also bought the Pan Digital Photolink scanner for myself and for my mom. I got a great deal on them at $50 each. They do 4x6 photos, 600 DPI, and they work really well. If you're looking for a scanner, you want to make sure that it will scan at least 300 DPI. And I think if it can find the borders of a photo and make it so that it's just the photo and not the whole flatbed scanner, that's even better. And a lot of these scanners that I've recommended here do that. When you scan photos, you'll also want to be sure that you enter the correct date information for the photo the proper way. This will make it so that the data goes with the photo anywhere the photo goes. If you email it, if you upload it anywhere, the correct date information and anything else that you enter, details about the photo will stay with it if you enter it correctly. The proper kind of metadata that you want to enter is IPTC, and how Alison Taylor recommends that you remember this is IPTC stands for I put this in the computer. So that can kind of help you remember that. And I'll talk more about her in just a second. If you enter this information in a Mac, if you enter the date information on a Mac through Explorer, it won't transfer to any other programs, any other computers. Once you send it off of that Mac, that date or that file information that you entered in doesn't get transferred with it. Most phone and computer apps, actually, the data will not transfer out of that program or that computer or that device. I haven't found any phone apps at all that do a good job with this. So you'll need to go back to your computer for sure. You can, however, enter the information on a PC in the info window. And I was able to write up instructions for my mom on how to do this when she was scanning photos with that little Pan Digital Photolink scanner. And it's easy, and she was able to do it. And my mom is one that struggles with even email. So if she can do it, anyone can do it. It's technical and it's difficult, but she was determined, and so she was able to do it just by following my instructions. Alison Taylor, who I mentioned just a minute ago, did a great presentation on scanning photos and metadata, along with instructions and tutorials for getting the IPTC metadata added the right way on a Mac and on a PC at Roots Tech. That's where she did the presentation. And a link to her presentation is in the show notes for this episode if you're interested in catching that. It was really, really good. One thing that I saw in her presentation that didn't work out for me is that she did recommend using Adobe Bridge on a cell phone, and I can't find that app anywhere in the App Store on iOS. And I think I checked Android too, and I wasn't able to find it. So unless Adobe's named it something different, that's the app that she recommends using because it's free, and she recommends that for a Mac and a PC. And I was not, and she mentioned it on iPhone as well, and I was not able to find it. But Adobe did have a lot of apps a while ago that they discontinued and then kind of have re-released different versions of some of them that are scaled back more and watered down. And I don't know if maybe that was one of them. But anyway, I searched on Adobe and checked all the Adobe apps and I didn't find it. But everything else in her presentation was really, really good information and explanations of how the metadata works and how it works with your photos. And then she gives you ideas on what kinds of things to enter into the photo besides just the date and names, which is super helpful. So be sure to check that out if that is something that you're interested in. I do have a lot more photos that I need to work on getting scanned. I have about 500 photos that I did through my photos that I need to go through and add the correct date information as much as I can. Most of the photos were from my childhood, and so I don't know as much on the dates as I wish. And hopefully maybe my parents and sisters can help me with that as well. My uncle had about 100 photos scanned from my grandma from when my uncles and my dad were growing up and my aunt. And he actually had gone through and put sticky notes on all of the photos with the years. And whoever did the scanning entered all of that information into who was in the photos and the dates into the metadata the correct way. And so those actually were some of the photos that uploaded into Google Photos, and they are sorted by date chronologically correctly, which is so cool to see those photos in there and have stuff pop up from 1973. I wasn't expecting it because I forgot that I had all those photos in there, and I really didn't know that my uncle had the person do it the way that they did it. And maybe it might not have been my uncle, although he was super tech savvy. It could have been just the person that was doing it. I'm grateful that they had the foresight to do it the right way. This was a long time ago, 10 years or more. And so I'm glad that they did it the right way. Alrighty, thank you so much for being here today. I want to mention once again that if you haven't gone through my free Google Photos course, what are you waiting for? Get in there and get it done. It only takes 30 minutes to complete the whole entire course. And you can text the phrase PhotoFab, altogether one word, PhotoFab, to 44222, or you can go to modernphotosolutions.com/free to find that, sign up for that free class. And if you would like to be added to my wait list for the Heart of Photo Fabulous class, you can text my heart to 44222. Or go to modernphotosolutions.com/myheart. And just a reminder, a portion of that class is getting you all set up with mobile backup solutions so that you can find all of your photos easily and also have a peace of mind knowing that they are backed up in multiple cloud locations in case anything were to happen to your phone. I would love to hear your success stories from your own journey to Photo Fabulous. So come share your heart with us in the comments. We will see you next time on Modern Photo Solutions.